Welcome to the Junior Hockey Framework. We're going to give an introduction about hockey intelligence, hockey IQ, and how it fits into the framework and it develops through the age ranges. This is from the Talent System Framework. We are hoping that this resource will help coaches, players, leaders, any stakeholders who are working within the junior hockey section. If you look at this diagram, it's important that players really have a good game understanding to be able to make a decision about which highly skilled action to use. Game understanding incorporates these four areas. They need to understand the principles and phases of the game. They need to understand what kind of structure they need to play in, which will then lead to some tactical decisions. And then there will be a game context that they are in at that particular time when they have to make that decision. We need to introduce this slowly to the age groups so they have good understanding of which decision to make. This diagram shows us the overall principles and phases of the game of hockey. We are either in possession or out of possession of the ball. In possession, our overarching principle is to go forward and score. When we are out of possession, we want to stop the opposition go forward and therefore win the ball back. We can go through a number of phases as we are in possession and out of possession to meet the principle. We will be introducing these phases gradually through our junior hockey framework for the under 8s, under 10s and under 12s. Ian, which phases are we going to introduce to under 8s?
At under 8s, we're going to be introducing the create phase in possession, and that is finding the best way to go forward. So is there someone that we can pass to that's in a better position to go forward? Is there space that we can carry into to go forward? On the flip side, we'll be looking at the deny phase out of possession, and that is finding the best way of stopping the opponent going forward. So are we able to block off a teammate they could pass to? Or are we able to block a space that they'll be able to carry the ball into?
Great. And then that will carry through into the under 10s.
That's right. We'll be building upon those two phases by adding in one more phase in possession and one out of possession. In possession, we'll be looking at the attack phase. So in the attack phase, it's pretty clear that there's an opportunity to go forward, and it's pretty clear as to what that opportunity is, and it's how well players are able to then how quickly and how efficiently they're able to execute that decision. So we'll be looking at similar skills, but done at much higher speed and higher efficiency. That will then put pressure on the team that's out of possession, often giving them scenarios where they are in an underload situation where there are more opponents than there are teammates. And we're looking at how skillful they can be at stopping the opponent going forward, despite the player in possession having a lot of options and ability to do so.
And then when we get to under 12, we've got those four phases. We add one more each side.
Yeah, so in possession, we are starting to build upon their ability to go forward and their ability to attack and get into score phase, but we're also then starting to look at their ability to, when it's not obvious or clear how they can go forward, how they're able to keep possession and how they're able to keep the ball in order to then find a way of changing the space, changing the angle, and finding a position where they can then start to think about creating and attacking. This will then give a lot of opportunities for the team that's out of possession to become really skillful at where they would like to win the ball, how they would like to win the ball. So not only are they stopping the opponent going forward, but they're also trying to set up transition moments for themselves to win the ball in advantageous positions where they can then be the team in possession who can set themselves up for a good attack.
Great. So now they've got those phases. On that initial diagram we looked at structure as well as tactics that we might need to have game understanding about. So in the under 8s, we are playing a game format which is 4v4. So what sort of structure things will come in play there?
We don't want to give too much structure and too many tactics at this age, but we do feel like it's worthwhile for them to start to familiarize themselves with what other players on the pitch are doing. So where are other players standing? where our opponent's standing. And often a good way of doing that is to ask them to form a shape. So a shape they're very familiar with, like a box or a diamond, is often a good way of um, making sure that they are not only just focused on the ball, they're also focused on where their teammates are, where the opponents are, and finding appropriate spaces within that.
Great. And then building on that, then in under 10 and under 12, we go to 6v6 without goalkeepers or 7v7 with goalkeepers. And then we'll be introducing some structure.
Yeah, so at this age group, we're starting to talk more about positions and talking more about formation. So in this example, we've got two defenders, three midfielders, and a forward, and we'd be starting to think about how each role functions within that system. So is in this example, our right midfielder staying wide so they can get the ball on the right hand side, and players then moving based on what position they're playing, not only trying to form a shape or a structure.
And then as they move into under 12,
The big difference for under 12s is that we want them to start interchanging positions. So once they now have an understanding of what each position entails, we would expect them to be able to play multiple positions. We would expect them within their play to be constantly changing positions. We know that by hopefully them having more keep phase play, we know that there's going to have to be a lot more movement off the ball to give options to the player that's in possession, and therefore we expect them to be moving around, changing positions, and giving multiple options to the player on the ball.
so that's structures and tactics in possession. What about when we're out of possession of the ball? Let's go back to under 10.
Yeah, so in under 10s, what we'll be really looking at is to see, similarly to what we asked of the players in under 8s, of forming, being able to form a shape. We could use that as an example where the front four players could form a diamond shape, for example, with two players behind as the defenders. And at under 10s with a slightly bigger pitch and more space to cover, we'd then be expecting that front four diamond to kind of be moving and be quite dynamic. But yeah, not necessarily at the stage of under 12s, where they're starting to then make decisions based on where the opponents are. You know, in under 10s, we'd expect them to be able to form a shape, but we wouldn't necessarily be able to ask them to change that shape depending on where opponents are standing.
Okay, so we've got a diagram for an idea for under 12.
That's right. So in this example, we're looking more at a marking system. So where we're trying to keep one spare defender in the back line, and we're trying to then have all of the other opponents being marked, which then leaves one of our forwards trying to then dictate. So we're trying to introduce dictate phase in the 12s, and we want our one forward to try to really dictate which side of the pitch the team that's in possession are able to play on. And again, at this stage, we'd like the players to be able to react to what the opponents are doing and to be able to then make decisions that help them to stay in that dictate phase and to eventually then obviously win the ball.
So we've looked at principles and phases, structure and tactics. That's the beginning of our game understanding, and that will help our players make a decision on which highly skilled action they're going to use. In the other sections of the junior hockey framework, we've put together a guide to help you with the priority highly skilled actions needed at each age group. Now, we're really aware that you may have under 8s who have played hockey longer than other under 8s, and that's why this is a guide, and that will help you decide which highly skilled actions you're going to focus on and the coaching points that you're going to use with each of the players for that. If you are coaching under 12s, we definitely recommend you have a look at the under 10s and under 8s videos, and the coaching cards will go across all of the age groups. Now we've got game understanding, we can look at developing the highly skilled actions. How am I going to use this junior hockey framework to help me plan sessions? And are there any other activities I can go and look at?
Yeah, so we've got plenty of guidance as to how lead coaches can use this to plan their sessions. We specifically asked them to check in with the different phases that we recommend are covered within each age group, and which highly skilled actions are covered within that age group, and try to make sure that they are covered over the course of the season. We know that it's often difficult to implement those highly skilled actions within gameplay, So we've come out with a bank of activity cards and games that you will be able to use over the course of the season.